Alright, picture this. It's 2077, humanity has colonized Mars, we've cured cancer, solved climate change, and somehow figured out that pineapple does not belong on pizza. Scientists have finally, after decades of trying, managed to simulate a perfect realistic farming experience on a computer. And it costs $60. Now come back to 2026. Same price, different story. I'm Pixelated Quest, and today we're talking about Farming Simulator 2025, the game that somehow convinced half of the internet it was the most immersive agriculture experience ever made. The game that people were losing their minds over. Forums were on fire, YouTube videos with titles like "This changes everything," streamers crying actual tears when the trailer dropped. And look, I get it. I genuinely get it. I sat down with this thing with a full cup of coffee, a notepad, high expectations, and the kind of excitement that only a grown-ass adult getting way too hyped about virtual tractors can have. What followed was an experience, just not the one I expected. So, the first thing I do, because I'm a reasonable, mature content creator, is I go find a cow. Now, you'd think in a game literally built around livestock farming, a cow would be, I don't know, a cow. Like an animal, with a body, that exists in physical space. You would be wrong for thinking that. I walk up to this cow, perfectly normal looking cow, just standing there doing cow things. And I think to myself, what happens if I just stand on it? Because that's the kind of rigorous game journalism I do here on this channel. I jump on the cow and I'm hovering, floating, suspended in midair about a foot above the animal like some kind of discount Jesus. Turns out the collision box on the cow, which is the invisible shape the game uses to detect where the animal's body actually is just a rectangle. A box, not the shape of a cow, not even close to the shape of a cow. Just a floating invisible square that you sit on top of, while the cow underneath you continues existing in a completely different dimension. This is Farming Simulator. The main thing in this game is the farm. The farm has cows. The cows are not real. I sat on the cow for about 30 seconds just staring at my screen, questioning decisions, not just in the game. So I figure, okay, the cows are a bit rough, fine, let me explore the world a little bit. See what the human NPCs are like. There's this old guy, just standing in front of the farmhouse. Just a grandpa doing grandpa shit, minding his own business. So I get in my tractor. Now, before you judge me, I want to be clear that I did this entirely in the name of science, purely academic. I wanted to know how the game handles collisions with pedestrians. And I drive the tractor straight at his goofy ass. And there's the thing, you know how I just told you that you can stand on a cow and float above it? You can drive through the people walking around in the street, completely through them. Like ghosts, like they don't even exist. You are the ghost in these situations. You are Casper the friendly farmer. But this grandpa, this one specific old man in front of my farmhouse, unfreaking movable. An absolute wall, a force of nature. The tractor hits him and stops dead. Full stop, like I drove into a concrete bunker. The grandpa doesn't flinch, doesn't react, he just stands there completely unaffected while my several-ton tractor bounces off his invisible force field. His collision box, by the way, also too big. I'm not touching the man. I'm nowhere near the man. The tractor just hits the air around him and stops. So to summarize, regular pedestrians, ghosts. The one grandpa, immortal guardian of the farm. Unknowable, unlikable, ancient. Okay, so while we're on the subject of physics that make absolutely no sense, let me tell you about the wall. I'm reversing a tractor, not going fast, just reversing the way you do, and I clip a wall. Back corner of the tractor catches the edge of a stone wall, and the tractor starts to tip. And I'm watching this happen and I'm thinking, okay, this is actually kinda cool, maybe the physics engine is doing something here, maybe this is the realism that people keep talking about. And then, before you know it, I reverse climbed the wall. Like the game looked at what was happening here and said, yeah, reversing over a house are we? Well, be my guest. So I stayed like this for a while and climbed out of the tractor and watched this absolute shit show from the distance. Meanwhile, if I drive the same tractor into another vehicle on the road, both vehicles just stop. Dead stop. They look at each other, they process what's happening, and then nothing. No crumples, no scratches, just two extremely polite machines that have mutually agreed to cease moving. Now, I've been in a minor parking lot fender bender in real life that caused about $800 worth of damage. But in Farming Simulator 2025, metal hitting metal at speed is just a gentle disagreement between friends. Now, here's where it gets philosophically interesting for me. I walk up to a shop, there's a sign on it and looks like you can go in. looks like an actual building with an interior and a purpose. I go to interact with it. Nothing decorative. It just exists to look like a thing you can do. You cannot do it. Fine. I look through the window, and inside the shop, inside this building that the developers clearly put effort into modeling from the outside, there are flat 2D images. Like photographs printed out and placed on stands. That's the interior. That's what's in there. A couple of JPEG pretending to be shelves. Same with the houses. You look in a window and there's a flat image behind the glass, just vibing there, absolutely refusing to be three-dimensional. It looks like someone decorated a dollhouse with magazine cutouts. And then, and this is the part that really got me, I go walk through a cornfield. Up close, the corn looks like something that escaped from a PlayStation 2 game that didn't finish rendering. Low polygon, rough edges, the kind of texture that looks fine from a distance and absolutely horrible the moment you're standing in it. It looks like someone built the corn out of folded paper and hoped you'd never get close enough. Which is a bold choice in a farming game, where you spend a lot of time, very close to crops. And here's the thing that really broke my brain. This game, the same game with the ghost pedestrians, the floating cow, the 2D shop interiors, the PlayStation 2 corn, the same game made me spend 2 hours in real time creating ridges on one of my fields. 2 freaking hours. Not game hours, real actual hours of my actual life. Sitting there, methodically, pass by pass, with the right attachment and the right angle at the right speed. 2 hours of my existence on this planet gone, given willingly to a field of virtual dirt. And it was correct. It was accurate. It was the kind of obsessive, realistic agricultural detail that actual farmers apparently nod at approvingly. The soil compaction, the tillage passes, the way you have to think about your field preparation, that stuff is generally impressively detailed. So somehow in the same game we have 2 hours of hyper-realistic field preparation and also a cow that you can hover above like a magic carpet. Giant Software looked at this game, looked at the list of things to fix and apparently said, the game ridges making mechanics are perfect. The cow is also fine, ship it. So, is Farming Simulator 2025 worth playing? If you want to slowly, methodically build and manage a farm, if that specific loop is what you're after, yeah, it's got content. Hundreds of hours of it. The farming mechanics, when they work, they generally work. And look, the community loves it. People have been buying this franchise since 2009 and they'll keep buying it because for them, the vibe is right. But if you're coming in expecting a polished simulation, if you're expecting a world that feels complete and thought through, if you're expecting, well, I don't know, cows that have bodies, you're going to be disappointed. Because what Farming Simulator 2025 actually is a deeply uneven game. Half of it is generally impressive, the other half looks like it was submitted as a draft and accidentally shipped as the final version. And for $60, that's a tough sale. Which brings me to something I actually want to talk about. Because here's the thing, the instinct that drives people to Farming Simulator, that desire to build something from scratch, to manage land, to deal with animals, to make something work with your own hands, even though it's just pixels, that instinct is completely valid. But there's a game that scratches a very similar itch, and it does it in a way that, and I genuinely mean this, feels more alive. Ranch Simulator. Now before you click away, hear me out. Because Ranch Simulator is not a perfect game either, it's rough around the edges in its own way, but here's what it does differently. It puts you on a piece of land, just you, the land, and a collapsing ranch that used to belong to your grandfather. And you build it. From nothing, you chop the lumber yourself, you build the structures yourself, you raise the animals, and animals actually behave like animals, more or less. You hunt for food, you manage resources, you drive beat-up trucks on dirt roads and you feel like you're actually doing something rather than just moving a checkbox from one column to another. The scale is smaller. You're not running a massive agriculture corporation. You're one person trying not to let everything fall apart. And that smaller scale makes every decision feel like it actually matters. Is it deeper than Farming Simulator 2025 from a pure farming mechanic standpoint? No. Is it as polished graphically? Definitely not. But does it feel like a world that someone cares about? Yeah, it does. And after 2 hours making virtual ridges while also floating above a cow, that feeling is worth more than you think. Alright, that's it for today. Farming Simulator 2025. Impressive in specific places, baffling unfinished in others, and the home of the most powerful grandpa I have ever encountered in a video game. Ranch Simulator, scrappy, alive, and worth your time if you like this genre and haven't tried it yet. If you played either of those, or just have your own Grandpa Collision box story, drop it in the comments, I actually read those. I'm Pixelated Quest, subscribe if you want more of this, and I'll see you in the next one.